Hello, and welcome to episode 33 of Chapter 1. We're already off topic. 3 women, 1 podcast, and after this set of chapters, we may have been staring at the wall in silence for like a minute. I'm Mary.
I'm Catherine.
I'm Elizabeth.
And this week, we are raging about chapters 7 through 12 of Blood Over Brighthaven by M.L. Wang. But before we get ready to scream into the void, what is everyone having?
Hold on, wait a minute. Oh, never mind. I did read through it. I was over here like, did I read chapter 12? I did.
She's like, I missed one.
I did it. I was good. We have a few things. One, Dwight brought us homemade black thyme mousse cake that he
I'm
made.
super jealous.
It's delicious. You should be
very
jealous.
yes.
And he informed us that each slice was 1,000 calories. So we cut it in half.
It's like we got a ball to go to in September.
Yeah. But it tastes wonderful.
Yes.
And then my contribution for the evening is these. Hold on, let me just hold one up because you can't really. Well, I don't want to hold up a crappy looking one.
Yeah, you're gonna give me something.
They're vanilla bean scones. They're like, have you ever had like the little petite vanilla bean scones from Starbucks?
Mini size.
Have you ever had those? Oh my gosh, they're so good.
I don't really eat at Starbucks.
Well, it's just the little scones, but I actually haven't had them in a long time. But these are supposed to be like a copycat version of them. They don't look quite the same, but that's also because they were actually made versus
These are good. They're delicious.
produced.
Delicious.
But yeah, they're pretty good. And then we're having cinnamon tea lattes because we couldn't decide what tea we wanted with it. And we just really
That's
like
fair.
the cinnamon. So we were like, we're just going to stick
Cinnamon
with it.
is great.
We couldn't decide. We had mulled over a raspberry hibiscus green that my sister-in-law got me last week, but I wanted dairy in it, and I knew I couldn't have it with that. So I was like, maybe that's not today's tea. Maybe that's for later. And then I thought about a few different ones, and then finally I was just like, we're just gonna go with the cinnamon because it's good and we like it. So, sorry, your turn.
Well, I have fries. I
Fries, are they in lettuce?
No, they're in it's from Wingstop.
Oh,
Listen,
I see it now. Okay, that's just my eyes. I was like, what is the green?
I'm in a like a gastritis flare, so like I just needed a potato product. Also, my husband was home today, so I didn't bake because when he works from home, we just hang out together. We don't get a lot done. But I got these those like mallow cup cookies. And so I have those for later.
We were just over here making assumptions about what your hanging out constitutes.
Yeah.
I'm in a gastritis flare, so like
It's like,
hanging
we get
out
nothing
is
done. And I was like,
hanging out is me being like, will you bring me water?
that's fair though.
Because she's dehydrated.
I found out that James took off work tomorrow. So I'm super excited.
That's gonna be a lot of people off of work tomorrow. I'm not gonna lie.
I don't know what we're going to do other than he can just sit and watch me homeschool.
I don't
It'll be
know,
nice to have him here.
I know a lot of people are off tomorrow, so
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
Bless his heart.
And then I'm having a chamomile tea because it tends to like also do well with. Couldn't do dairy. My options were limited.
You could have had this raspberry hibiscus.
I could have. All right. So diving back in to Blood Over Brighthaven.
I can't even tell you.
I
how
will
much this
say,
book is making me-
Elizabeth, you freaking called it with your theory.
That's what I said.
Spot on.
I read the back, and I was like, well, something crazy is gonna happen when you read the back. And then plus pulled all my knowledge from the craft and practical
My back don't
magic.
have crap.
And I was like, when you know witchy stories, you know you're not having magic for the sake of magic. It comes from somewhere. And so I was like, worst case scenario, every time they use their magic, a bunny dies.
Do you ever,
The bunny
It's,
dies.
or a person? Do you ever watch Once Upon a Time
Yeah, I used to.
Yes.
with Rumpelstiltskin.
Yes.
Comes with a price.
It
Wasn't
comes
that-
with a price.
Comes with a price. Oh my gosh, I haven't watched that in a long time. I kind of want to watch. It got good until it didn't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it was
sort
like
of jumped
super
the
good,
shark.
and then it was like, meh.
I think it was where she like went into her villain era. I stopped kind of
Yeah.
watching.
Anyway, yeah.
Anyway.
This whole group of chapters, I found myself
I was very disappointed in her reaction.
mega pissed at her right now.
Because now, don't get me wrong, I can relate. I can relate to where she was when she's questioning her religion, questioning her beliefs, questioning, you know, have I been brainwashed all these years, that kind of thing. Like, I get that, and I get
It's not his fault.
right. And she didn't. My thing is, I feel okay. You know what? Before we get there, let's let Mary do her recap. When we get there, because I have a lot to say.
I was
But
over here
I'm
like Mary's letting her go, but she's thinking like we'll get there.
You know what? We'll get there, and yeah, we'll get there. So
You remind me
Okay.
of me every week. Because I'll do that, and I'll just look at Mary, and she's just like,
like I have thoughts.
and I'm like, all right, we will get there.
You
We'll
know
get there.
what? I hope everyone has read, but if they haven't, let's get there.
Well, if you're tuning in, I hope you read it. There's about to be a shit ton of spoilers. Like the whole book.
Yes.
So we left off our chapters last week with Sayana upsetting Tamil when she brushes off his comment that the Quen are being killed for being unable to work for Tyran, and that he was just being dramatic, you know, whatever. This set of chapters doesn't get any better on her with Tamil. Like, I was like, okay, we're getting ready. She's going to have her character arc. Like, she's going to start, like, I don't know, not being the way she is. And boy, was I wrong.
It got worse.
I do think that
It got worse. And honestly, it got worse for
come later.
both of them. It gets worse for both of them because she really has like a whole lot. Her whole world just comes falling apart. So
Which I mean, I can sympathize with. Like, I get that, girly. Like, that sucks for you. But also, maybe we don't slap people who like have lost their entire, tribe,
and then
nation
tell them that they deserved it.
because of your
deserved it. That's when it really pissed me off. I'm like, Aka, excuse me?
when like your people deserved it. And she says that it's because it's the only thing she could come up with. I'm like, she's like, yeah, of course, that's what it is.
She spiraled.
Or you know what you could come up with? Shut your mouth.
I was like, oh my god, you're just reading it, and just the whole exchange just gets worse and worse and worse.
Yeah.
And she's having all these like inner revelations, but none of those inner revelations are like coming out of her mouth. What's coming out of her mouth is just vitriol, and I'm like, this is.
So
not
anyway,
good.
let's talk about it.
Sorry.
So as we start back in chapter 7, Sayana and Tamil have been pretty isolated as they continue to do their work. Sayana has realized that her spell web doesn't need to be as good as Renthorn's, who she knows is like his spell webs are impeccable and hers are good, but like not as good as his, because what she's really good at is mapping. And so she figures if she can just, if she can get her spell web as close to like perfect as she can, that her overall spell will be better because her mapping is better than his. So she decides to focus on that first. She's like, I'm going to focus on the spell web first, and get that right first, because that's not what she's good at. So as she's finishing up doing that, a blast goes off down the hall in the building where the labs are, and Tamil immediately wants to go check on the others and make sure everybody's okay. And Sayana, of course, is like, no. Like, why would we do that? I don't care about anybody else. And Tamil's actually kind of appalled. He's like, Sayana!
These are your people.
So one of the other high mages, Hilaros, was responsible for the explosion. While everyone is checking to make sure that he's okay, Sayana goes to the source of the explosion, which is the spellograph. And Renthorn actually joins her, questioning if he put in like a cap on the energy spell, which would have caused this, which she explained in those first sets of chapters when she was explaining how the magic worked to Tamil about like, it's kind of like having a water pipe And if you put a cap on it, that pressure is still coming and it's going to build up and it'll just go poof, you know. So that's what Renthorn and I think her kind of assumed had happened. And then Cyana said, no, it was just like the standard mapping spell. And Renthorn's like, how the hell do you screw that up? And I thought it was kind of interesting through this. Renthorn I still hate, don't get me wrong, like still hate Renthorn, but like there's like little snippets of him that, one, he's very much like her in a lot of ways, and two, I don't know, he's just got a few times where I'm like,
when he called after her, the way that for me, my thing with Renthorn now is towards the end when she runs off.
And he's like, what did you see?
What did you see? I was like,
because he knows her.
Renthorn. Like, he's going to end up switching sides. Something's going to happen with Renthorn.
Well, my thing is, like I said, they're on the same page. They're like, you know, they're very similar in a lot of ways.
Which is probably
And
why they
I
hate
think,
each other.
and I think he like gets her. Like and as much as he antagonizes her all the time and is like, oh, you're just a girl, you know, whatever. I also know, I think he knows how good she is. And like, so at the end here where he's like, what did you see? I've lost my train of thought.
He has to know that for her to act that way.
It's gone.
I think I know what you're saying, though. Because, I mean, he has to know that for her to act that way.
Right. It wasn't her just being crazy, because they were all picking on her for being like sensitive and a girl and just throwing a tantrum and all these things.
She's not like that.
Yeah. But like that wasn't what he focused on. He was like, something happened.
So I think that Renthorn's going to end up being like a weird ally.
I'm glad you picked up where I was going with it, because I had it and then it was just gone somewhere over there.
Yeah, I got you. Like, I think that Renthorn's going to end up being like the unexpected ally. Or something like that.
Because little things like that are slipping through. I've also contemplated, like, is it going to be a love triangle? You know, because it's like an enemies to lovers thing, but yeah.
I don't think so.
This is a standalone, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So
I think if
I don't think there's any time for that.
I think if anything, he might join I'm not even sure if she's going to decide to do the right thing. I'm hoping so, but I don't know. My girl keeps letting me down.
Yeah, I think she is, because I felt like I got the impression at the last chapter we read, I got the impression that when she snapped out of it and was like, I've got work to do, I'm hoping she's going to make it right and start with her friend, Tamil.
Tamil.
I don't know. No one knows.
None of us has listened to the audiobook.
These are fire, by the way. These are good.
They're delicious.
Sorry.
I feel like with her being like, I've got work to do, she's going to make it right. How she's going to do it, I don't know, because we're talking about their whole government system and the whole magic system, but she's got to do something. And I'm wondering.
So
obviously, we're all enraged enough that it's hard for us to get through this right now.
So Cyana notes the model of the spellograph and asks where he got it, which he's like, I got it from the supply room. And Tomil's like, hey, maybe this place isn't safe. We should evacuate, whatever. So they evacuate until the building is deemed safe to return. Several labs had broken windows and they needed repaired, while Hilaros, where the explosion originated, and then also Cyana's labs needed much more extensive repairs, and it was going to be several weeks. So Renthorn offers for all of them to just come work for him in his lab. And all of the other mages are like, yeah, sure, we're all going to be working for you eventually anyways. Like, they know that he's like the best, you know, and whatever. And of course, and I was actually surprised he offered it to Cyana. I thought he was going to offer it to everybody else and then be like,
I was like, he wants her on his team so bad because he knows he can use her. And
well, that's the thing is, so like
a backhanded way to.
In the first set of chapters, he was such a douche to her that I wasn't sure. But this, again, this is those little snippets of like how much he knows. He knows she's good. He really wants her on the team. He wants her brain badly.
She can do all the work and he can claim it as his.
Yes. And so he does end up, offering for her to come work in the lab. And of course, she's not going to join Team Boy because she knows they're going to take her work and claim it as their own and slap their name on it, whatever. So totally understand. So she leaves under the guise of she's just going to go like, I need to replace my supplies. My shit broke. I've got to go get like this stuff. So she goes with Tamil and they end up at Archmage Brigham, her mentor's place, and the old labs where she used to work at. And they set up shop there in the meantime. And while they're there, Tamil does ask why, if it's not for just the greater good, why didn't she join all of the other mages and them just all work together and collaborate to create that best spell to help all of the people? And Sayana is kind of backed into a corner and forced to admit that, like, she wants her name on it, period. It's not just about the better of the people. She wants the glory. She wants the recognition, and it to not just be another man.
Which, to be fair, Tamil respects.
Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't think he did at first, but then he comes back.
I didn't think so either, but then he does. And I think he just wanted to understand her reasoning behind it is why he asked.
And a good question, because he kind of explains his society. He's just like, we just do what's better for our community. Like, why would we do that? What he doesn't understand, though, is his community accepted women. In fact, put women on a higher plane. Like, they were more equal. And that's why I understand in Siona's case, their community is not like that. It is cutthroat. It's men, then women, and whatever.
Do you know what it makes me think of? Just this whole dynamic is like in Pocahontas. When, like, then they're like, savages. Like, it's like, that's how they think of it.
But
could you have picked a more problematic Disney movie to reference?
It's like, that's how they felt about it. Like, when they come in, they're like, oh, these are savages. Meanwhile, they're like all simpatico and they have like a whole vibe. They're growing corn and like, they're doing all this stuff and they're just over here like, well, these savages. And like,
but their society was better.
Right. It's just, that's like what this makes me think of. Because every time they talk about like the Quinn, that's like how they're describing them. Like, oh, well, for a Quinn. Like, and I'm like,
but the Quinn society is better. They actually care about one another. They take care of their own, and they don't have this issue. They don't have any Sionas because there's no reason to have one. And I'm not blaming her. It's just how she was raised.
Different culture.
But she gonna learn. She better learn.
She gonna learn today.
She gonna learn today.
So Tamil.
Hashtag Kevin Hart.
So Tamil ends up asking what she thinks went wrong to cause the explosion. And she tells him that she thinks that the machine was cursed. And the spellograph came from Brigham's labs and is only really good for industrial use, like the way it's designed. And it shouldn't have been there in the first place because the only people it would appeal to were like Renthorn, her, and Hilaros, who'd worked for Brigham, who would have had these type of spellographs, because even where the keys are different. And so someone who wasn't used to that was going to struggle to use that spellograph efficiently. And so the only people who would have chosen it would have been, one of those three. So she's got it in her head. She really assumes Renthorn has he knew it was cursed, and then he placed that machine there to create this explosion to have happen. So that way he could get all of these people to come work for him.
Dude.
While that could be the case, and there's no evidence either way, the fact that it came from Brigham's.
I'm like, is Brigham the big guy?
I'm thinking that's Brigham. But
I
don't know how he
think
would get everything.
Brigham had something to do with it.
You spelled it out like that?
Because here's the thing. So Brigham, we get later too, where he's just like, oh yeah, it's a curse.
Everything's a curse.
But also, he's hand-selected some of these people. He also would be aware who would be able to use that. And, I don't know.
But I don't understand, the motive for getting everyone on Renthorn's, unless he was trying to get Siona on Renthorn's side as well. But I do believe it's Brigham. I believe Brigham had something to do with it, for sure. Like, I do not trust him.
Well, the way that
If Tamil doesn't
had
trust
no
him,
beef.
I don't trust him.
I had no beef with Brigham until he started gaslighting her into like, oh, what you saw was a fabrication.
The red flags from Tamil is what I
Well,
was like,
yes. I started thinking about bringing them, but also in my head, I'm like, is Tamil super, like, he has, like, a vendetta. Like, he doesn't like these people. Like, you know, even if they're the best of the, like, Tyrannish, like, he's not gonna like them. So I'm like, I don't know, because, you know, I don't know. But when he started being like, oh, what you
just a
saw
curse.
wasn't anything, it was a curse, we don't know, you know, like, when he started doing like that, then I was like, oh, you know all of it.
So Cyan at this point has decided now that Tamil needs to like do a little more in the lab, which means he needs to learn magic. So by chapter 8, she's been teaching him some magic, and he learns really fast. He's picking up and performing basic magic principles. And meanwhile, and he kind of seems excited about it as he's like learning it and everything. It's kind of cute.
I just
And-
love that she's like, I have a finite amount of time to do this. You know what? Let's teach you magic.
from the very beginning.
Elementary. Go back to basics. Like,
I will say she's a good teacher. Because
she is a
he's
good
just like-
teacher. She
but
was
he's a
teaching
good
me. I
student.
was like, it's starting to make sense now.
Like, we
she was
get it.
doing a good job. But I just thought that was funny. Sorry, go ahead.
So meanwhile,
We're
Cyan
never-
is frustrated. Cyan is frustrated because nothing she's doing, while Tamil's advancing, just like doing great. All her work feels like is hitting this like dead end because nothing is like improving or advancing. She just keeps recreating all these different, you know, spells, and the siphoning and the energy and like none of those things are like getting better. So she often uses Tamil as like a sounding board. And as she's complaining to him and he asks if she's been composing like the entire spell herself, and she says that there's this like small part that's always pre-written. It's just like the standard, right?
And you don't deviate.
And you never change it because it's just how it is, right?
For religious reasons.
Well, yeah, because all of their stuff is tied into the religion.
Mm-hmm.
Like the whole thing with the
You
other
had a
realms
great point.
is
You was
tied
like,
into
you
the
don't
religion.
even like that guy. Like, you like the other guy.
Yeah.
I'm like, excellent point from the Quinn.
And when she starts like going back to the library, we'll get to it, but like when she goes back to the library and she's doing all this studying, you see kind of the timeline where like these things happen and then suddenly someone later says, oh, but God now says that's wrong. We don't do that. That wasn't there before. That was God, that was them created. That was just them.
I get confused because I'm like, who is, like, when they say God, are they speaking about, what's that dude?
The
I think
founding one. I like that you
Because
have
they,
like
they're the
four.
the Leonites.
Yeah.
Okay, when they speak about God, is that who they're talking about? Or are they speaking about this other guy
I
too?
think what's his name?
I
Because
keep
they
wanting to say Farah.
I'm like Farron,
not.
but then I'm like
Farron. Yeah.
There's
because he's the first one.
and there's
was
that.
there.
What is it? It's not Stavros. Stravos.
I pronounced it
think I said
Stravos.
Stravos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
There's
he
that.
was the half
but they don't.
twin.
But they don't. But they. He's up there with the founding people, but they
Yeah.
don't worship him.
Right. It's Farron.
Well, they definitely wouldn't worship Stravos. He was part Quinn.
He's
part
part
Quinn.
But he
At
was
least a quarter.
he was very instrumental in creating the magic system. But
I'm
they
also
just don't
like,
put him.
Literally, he was he was the one that set the boundaries. Which I'm like, dang, you kind of going after your own people there. But anyway, the thing is like you'd think that it would maybe connect with these people that know it, that we're not going to be able to expand the boundaries without someone like him who knows this other stuff. But maybe they wouldn't because like generation thing. They're like, yeah, we can just do it. I don't know things. It's hard. It's hard.
So how they kind of explain it is basically there's this fog, like how they're currently pulling power and doing their spellographs there's this fog over the other realm. And so when they're pulling energy, they can't they're not really seeing entirely where it's coming from. And Sayana would like to create a spell that would create a clearer picture so they can like siphon, because her whole thing with mapping is she wants it to be better and more efficient and be able to pull more exact amounts of energy. And so she's thinking if she has this like clearer picture of how, you know, of where she's drawing from, then they can get even better amounts and like more exact numbers and like narrow it down to like percentages of like, this is like, we're going to have every time a 98%, you know, success rate type thing. And so Tamil suggests that she needs to alter those lines in order to achieve, you know, what she's trying to do, but it's against their religious edicts. But again, he encourages her to do it again, because he's like, at this point, he's still like, it's for the greater good. Like, yeah, let's do it. Violate.
Yeah, it's
let's rebel.
He's over here like, I'm a
magician
now. Like,
yeah, like I'm doing stuff.
Yeah, let's give it a try. I think this sounds wonderful. It was just
like
so
your gods
funny
are dumb
to see that,
anyways.
like,
Let's do it.
Boom. Oh, my heart was just pounding through like all this because I knew it was coming.
So Sayana compliments Tamil on his understanding of spell webs, and he talks about how it's similar to hunting, and he speaks a little bit about Quen and his past. And we do learn in this like area that it's been 10 years. Because remember last week we couldn't figure out how long he'd been there. We knew he'd been in this job as the janitor for like a year, but we weren't sure how long it'd been since he crossed over. Because Kara at the time had been like a little girl. So it's been 10 years. So I'm assuming he was like maybe in his 20s when he crossed over, early 20s. So now he's like in his early 30s. And then, you know, Kara's going to be like late teens, I would assume. So Sayana returns to the library for more books in order to study so she could change that line of code and figure out, you know, like what she needs to do. And when she returns, she finds Tamil studying a book. And he recognizes the runes in that book that they're using and claims that they originated in Quen. Sayana tells him, like, that's not possible because, like, your people are dumb. Of course this shit wouldn't come from you.
You hear her talk sometimes and I'm like, dang. Like, girly.
So after a ton of back and forth between them about, like, how the founding mages traveled to Quen, she then pivots to saying those runes were obviously, there was like a lot in this set that I kind of glossed over because like the end result is just basically Sayana being a bitch. But also, you know, that in her mind, so in Tamil's mind, these founding mages came and stole their stuff, stole these runes, stole their magic, stole all of these things. And in her mind, well, it was better because you guys would have either lost it or you weren't very good with it or like you didn't need it. And just basically making all these excuses on why it was okay for them to steal these things from the Quen people.
Look at this better environment. Isn't this so wonderful? You would be dead.
Yeah.
Like,
well, and
actually,
she's like, you guys would have lost it anyways. Right. And he's like, obviously we didn't lose it. I'm aware it still exists. Like, it's still there right now. And she's just like, well, but you didn't deserve it. We obviously deserved it better. So this conversation shifts and ends up delving into religion and then gods. And Sayana scolds him for being tyrannish now, but not converting over to their tyrannish beliefs and in their gods. Tamil argues that he's not tyrannish and he just serves Tyran, which 100% agree with because she doesn't view him as tyrannish. She views him as Quen. Like everybody does. They're less than. No one views them as part of their community.
Right.
And so he then explains the difference in his God versus hers. Hers, two people can exist, and one who does things out of a desire to be a good person but ends up just making terrible things happen can go to their version of heaven. And while someone who's inherently bad with no desire to be a good person, but creates and does things that leave this wonderful and positive mark on the world that betters things for everyone, does not go to heaven. While his God is the complete opposite, because for his God, it's not about intention. It's about the effects that their actions actually have. So you can tell, because like what he's explaining to her is you could tell yourself over and over you're a good person, but it's different than actually being a good person. And so Sayana gets mad.
Morally gray characters, because they're morally gray characters that go out and do all the killing and all the thieving and whatever it is that they love to do. They're still good at heart because they cause a lot of happiness in other areas.
Well, and you look at all the villains, and even real life history, most of the villains in real life history thought they were great men. You know, like they thought they were doing these great things. And it's like, just because you believe it doesn't make it so. So Sayana gets really upset because he's challenging her entire belief system. So she tells him he's completely out of line and basically clean up the lab and get out of here, go home. But she pretty quickly kind of backtracks in her own head and tells him that, I don't want you to quit contradicting me, and I want you to always be honest with me, because she feels like that's how they work together the best. So he then tells her that, well, if we're being honest, that first night we worked together and we went out to the bar, the bartender had called her something, and he wouldn't never in their like native Quen language, and he never told her what it meant. And he said that loosely translates to a lady high mage or sorceress. It's like the closest thing in their language they had to that. Because in Quen, all great magic practitioners or high mages were women. And so, but in Tyran, they might have referred to them as witches. So she again argues the fact that because she only knows her land where men do magic, and is just like, nah, that can't be possible. Like that's not right.
She's like, yes, of course, there were mentions of Quen witches in some histories. Sayana had just never thought of them as proper magic.
Which is crazy because she's a freaking woman, and her whole thing is about, this fight for women and recognition of women. And then she's over here shitting on women.
But they're Quen.
Because it's not the right kind of woman.
Tyrannish women are bust. That's it.
Yeah. It's like, it sort of reminds me of the people who like rage against women online, and then they like see other women doing things that they're happy with and enjoying. And then they're like, no, not like that. Not that way. That's not the way we woman.
That's not the way we woman.
Only this way. So he ends up explaining that like in his land, the reason the women do magic is because the men are busy doing manly things. They're hunting and gathering and like taking care of the people in that way. And the women are at home. And in their mind, magic is a caregiving thing. It's healing. It's protecting. It's doing all of these things for other people. That's why you did magic, was in the service of others, which is not how, she views magic at all, because in those first set of chapters, she talks about how all the womanly duties do want to care for other people, and she has no desire to care for anybody. All she cares about is herself and, making and creating power and becoming powerful. And in their, in their culture, in the Quen culture, that's not what magic is, caring for others. That's the entire purpose of it. And so she then argues, of course, because she just can't seem to accept that there are other things outside of her own viewpoint, that none of them could have ever been on par with Tyrannish mages. And Tomil wonders why her, of all people, would assume that. And she says it's because, there were lots of witches, but only a few founding mages, and they got wiped out. Which Tomil's like, yeah, that is interesting. That would happen. And in their stories, it was a strange evil magic that the Tyrannish used to destroy them. But, kind of like passive aggressively is like, oh, but you're the expert, My favorite, though, was he throws in that little line where he's like, well, if you say women aren't suited to magic, I'll believe you.
Yep.
That literally, and I love how she's just like seething. Because she's like, She's so
Wait a
pissed off.
damn minute.
He said,
Like-
my knowledge of magic and history is obviously nothing to yours. If your founding mages thought women weren't suited to magic and you think they were rightly inspired by God, then I suppose I have to take your word for it. Snap, snap.
Because he's basically saying, well, then maybe you shouldn't be here. Like, maybe everybody's right. Maybe you shouldn't be doing this high mage job in magic according to your stuff.
I don't know.
But-
I'm just a Quinn.
Yeah. So in chapter 9, Sayana, it's like the weekend. She goes back home to her Aunt Winnie but she's really stuck on all of these things that her and Tomil talked about. And she ends up deciding to just go back to university to do more research. And in her reading, she discovers that the witches of Quen in the what was described as opening a clear window every time they did magic. And while a later passage says that doing so was now deemed heresy, which is where you start to see, this like timeline of like once these founding mages were exposed to this type of magic, and then they learn about it and how to use it, and then they're like, oh, but God says no, we're not going to do it like this. Either way, it gets her thinking that she realizes that a founding mage, which is Stravos, who had the red hair and was probably Quen, or at least half or quarter Quen.
Quarter, yeah, I think
Which-
it's a quarter.
Which made sense because when she started really studying on Stravos, she realizes that he learned his magic probably from his mother, like Tomil was talking about, because he spent his early childhood with his mother all the time and was left in his mother's care until he was sent to live with his father after she passed. So Stravos was responsible for all of those original sourcing spells and like sourcing all of that large amount of energy that ended up creating that dome boundary barrier thing that they live under. And so now she's like, he's the answer. I need to find Stravos's like spell work, that original spell work. And because she believes he's using the original like Quen type of magic. And so she's scouring the library for his book and just freaking out. And Renthorn and Tenrel show up. Renthorn is kind of like picking on her about, what is she doing there? It's the weekend. How long have you been here? You're looking a little frazzled. You're kind of coming undone. Well, Tenrel actually seems genuinely concerned about how her current state. And I should note that during the explosion, Tenrel was also one of the few high mages that was concerned about Hilaros, and he was the only one who supported Tomil when he suggested that they all needed to evacuate, even though Tomil's only a Quen. He was like, he's right, let's get out of here. So I actually don't hate Tenrel at the moment. He hasn't given me any reason to hate him.
That's good. That kind of like brings you back to, even though the society, their community has issues, they're definitely problematic. You still have good people there. Like,
Well, a lot of people are just, and I don't even mean this in an ugly way, but a lot of them are just as ignorant as Sayana. And I don't mean ignorance as a insult. I mean, like, they are genuinely ignorant. They don't know
how
what they don't know.
harmful
They
and
don't,
problematic they are.
like, they're just thinking, like, they're just taking their word for what they've grown up in.
It's a brainwashing effect.
Yeah, like, so I think that it's very plausible that you can have good people and bad people in that this belief. I mean, Sayana, she's not inherently a bad person. She just grew up being taught certain things that just happen to not be the truth.
And you think about all societies and societies that change and shift over time. All societies change and shift over time as they continue to progress, and things that are established as the norm have to be challenged, and it's always takes time because there's people who are always going to resist change.
This is the way.
But in like a typical society, if it wasn't like this evil society that's doing weird magic that kills everybody, normally you would say, okay, so Sayana is challenging the norms of the society, and then it's going to become more normal until all of these things start to shift and change, and you start to see that.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to go that way for these guys. So during her exchange, she sort of has this exhausted break into a fit of hysterical laughter. because she's realizing the book she's been looking for this whole time was actually in the lab because she's already pulled it when the last time she went down and was like frantically looking for books. And so she's just like laughing and freaking out, which I'm sure to the boys there, they were like starting to think this girl's she's having a whole psychotic break. Like she's lost it. So back at the lab, she's ecstatic because she finds what she's looking for. And she's able to translate Stravos's work and modify the spell work that she's been using. And she justifies it that it's not heresy because she's just restoring it to its original form, which I was like, that's a good workaround in your brain. So
you could just say that when they say something to you about it.
Yeah.
You
I'm
wouldn't
just
know
using Stravos's stuff that we've got the whole boundary from. So
yeah, we have
that was
the
good.
book.
We have the book.
I was able to get the book.
We haven't burned it yet.
Yeah.
Yes.
I figured it was fair game. It wasn't in the restricted section.
There you go. So both her and Tomil are excited to test it, and I forget that exchange, but it was actually kind of like, I just remember Tomil, both times I read it, was really cute. He's like, yeah, put me in, coach. Like, let's go do this.
Love it.
And so once she types in the spell, she gets this clear image that appears in like full color. Like you can see it. It's basically like what she was imagining, a window or a mirror into the other realm. And it shows the snowy land with bushes and animals that she doesn't quite recognize, just bounding through all the snow. But Tomil does recognize it, and he goes completely still and tells her that it looks like Quen. And Santa's like, nah.
Couldn't be.
So he tells her, he's like, well, why don't you siphon a little something, something? And so she does. And a white light like shoots across and destroys this evergreen bush that she had targeted. And Tomil ends up hurling the spellograph across the lab, destroying it, saying that was blight.
And that's how that
and that's
chapter ends. It's like,
yeah,
that was blight, the end.
that was
I
blight.
was really glad that
We didn't end on that. I'm glad we didn't end on that.
The minute it started describing the land, I was like, Elizabeth was fucking right.
Yeah, I know.
Like she was right about everything.
There is no other world or other realm.
I'm like, she called it.
To be fair, I guess for them, because the Quen are so different, it would, in their mind, be able to be like, it's the other realm. It's like another realm, like another world.
Yeah,
or
those
whatever.
founding fathers knew what they were doing.
Yeah,
They knew.
Yeah.
100%. 100%. When like literally, I was the same way. When it was like when it showed like the snowy whatever, I was like, here.
The minute it said snowy, I was like, shit.
Here it comes.
And then I was like, oh shit. And then I was like, Elizabeth got it.
I was like, there it is. She called it. She
Yep.
called it.
So in chapter 10, Tomil storms out of the lab, just freaking out. And Cyana's chasing after him, telling him once again that he obviously has got to be wrong. Like it couldn't be blight or Quen. And that blight is the sickness of the unwashed. And he's arguing with her. He's like, no, that's like pox and like all of these other things that are like illness. That's, not it. She even has the nerve to try to claim that he only sees that because he doesn't deserve to see God's bounty.
She
Of the
said,
other
maybe
realm.
you're not remembering clearly. Sometimes when an event is too upsetting to wrap your mind around, your memory gets muddled.
Yeah. Well, and then she has that whole line about like, you don't deserve to see it. That's why you're seeing Quen. You don't get to see the real image. And I was like, bitch, I'm supposed to like you, I thought. And I don't like you very much.
Well,
right
I
now.
loved when he said, what did you see then, High Mage? If I saw only what a heathen sinner deserves, what did your holy mage's eyes see in that coil? What did God show you? And then he's like, a tyrannish courtyard garden, maybe? Flowers that make you think of home? I was just like,
Yeah.
I'm like, because you know what you saw. Like, you know that you saw the same thing. Like, that's what's like killing me. I'm like, why are you talking to him like this when you know what you saw? I feel like even if you are struggling with it internally, you don't have to be hateful about it. Like, you can just be like, I need a minute. I
gotta
need
process.
to process this. Versus just like flinging out hateful stuff. Like, I don't know.
So, and this is where, to me, I feel
But I will
like-
say, I think it's probably an accurate representation of what would happen with some people, or a lot of people even, like where your entire belief system is challenged, and not just challenged, not just like having strong, good argument, but you're seeing it. You're seeing that your belief system completely wrong. Like, what if someone showed you that like everything you thought, it was all lies?
That's the thing.
Like
I've been there. I have literally been questioning that. And my go-to was not, I'm going to disparage this person, because the person that I was talking with was just asking questions, just like him, just asking questions. Think about it. Just think about it. You want to know what I did? Okay, I will think about it. I did the research. I looked it up. I did things. I did not go back at them and say, your people deserved it. You're stupid. Or slap them.
I think if it were me, I don't think that I would just, but granted, you know, I also have a very different personality from Sayana. Like, I am very different from Sayana. It doesn't matter what we're disagreeing or agreeing on. I'm just generally not confrontational. I'm not going to clap back at you or legit slap you. Like, I'm just not that person. So, like, for me, it genuinely makes zero sense why anybody under any circumstance would, when you see something as fact, wouldn't, even if it's something that's really hard to, like a hard pill to swallow.
Right.
To just hurl such.
And this is, I feel like this honestly goes against her character, because she's supposed to be highly intelligent. She's supposed to be smart. She's supposed to be logical. And me, I'm not smart. But even I was just kind of like, I was just like, but no, I mean, not like that. Okay, think Spock, Star Trek. Logically speaking, what is the next step? You have a hypothesis. You have been challenged. What are you going to do? You got to prove it or disprove it. And that's where you go back. You do the research. You're kind of like, you know what? I see you have really good questions. Let me look this up. And that's what I did.
Versus just like grasping at straws.
Right.
But
obviously it's this.
I've kind of seen it, at least online in certain spaces, which granted online people are a lot more hateful, but
yeah, vice versa.
That's fine. Like, there are 100%, there are people that do that. I'm just saying, I think for her personality, her being logical, I feel like that is different from her character. But I will say this, there's two distinctions. Questioning your religion versus questioning if you've been murdering people and didn't know it, two different things. I mean, I'm pretty sure if I found out, okay, every time you prayed, you murdered somebody, I would be like, oh no. That's kind of what she is doing. It's like, for her, in her
angel
religion,
gets its wings.
her things, she's creating.
What was it? Every time a bell rings,
every time you prayed, you killed somebody.
Oh, Bunny. Sorry, that was before we started recording.
We're going with Bunny on that.
And it's not to say that if you are highly academic or intelligent that you cannot also be emotional. Like, an emotional response makes sense when everything that you've known your entire life and everything that you've worked for is now like, oh, wait, hold on. I mean, honestly, how many times, because we've also described him now as her only friend, right? Mm-hmm. The only person that she trusts. So I guess if I'm trying to like just really make it like a relatable thing, if James, my husband, for anyone who doesn't know, how easy is it sometimes when you've had a bad day or a bad experience or a bad something to kind of go off on that person and it's not deserved? I mean, that does happen. However,
but she does more than that.
She does.
Well, I think it's I think I don't agree with her response,
no.
But I also actually do think that it's a fairly human response. Like, and again, it's not, you have to remember her culture and her like city there it's not just her religion being challenged. It's also all of her academics. It's everything. It's everything in her life. Her city, her history, her entire work of studies.
Turning on the light.
Everything she has
everything.
ever known. Heating up a cup of tea. How many people has that
How
killed?
many did
like
she kill?
everything
Yeah.
she's learned and known in her life is not only wrong, she's not only wrong, but it's evil.
Yeah.
It's one of the.
I mean,
just
we
think
haven't-
Her emotional response was not like it makes sense to
If
have an
some-
emotional
and
response.
I think-
but
I
how-
think-
what she did to him.
But hold on.
And I think if you come at it that way too, of like if someone told you, not just told you, but showed you, not only is everything like you think, hey, I'm a good person, I believe in these things, this is everything I know, and then all of a sudden it's like, no, everything you've done in your entire life and everything you've built your life around is not only evil, it's destroying the world.
But hold on.
Like
Hold
you would
on.
probably like have a whole meltdown.
We're not at that point yet. So this whole interaction that they're having, she has not learned that she's actually killed someone. The only thing they've taken out, they took out was a tree. She's
Yeah.
still in her mind
But
thinking this
but
is
still
the other
blight.
way.
They know what blight is. Like she can
She-
connect the dots. She is intelligent enough to connect.
She
the
knows that blight kills.
I think until she sees it, which is coming up.
It's
when she
coming up.
sees it is when she believes it.
But
she had to see it
put
to believe
the
it.
doubt. He put the doubt, but she has
And-
already convinced. And this is what people of religion, and I'm going to say religion as a whole. When you start questioning those things, there's already responses coming back saying, "Here's an excuse for it. Here's an excuse." As you saw, he was like, "That's blight." She was like, "No, it's not. Your memory, you're not remembering correctly." She's already come
like,
up with
homie, have you seen
excuses.
blight? Like,
So she's already she's
the
not
only
been
one of the
convinced.
two of you that have seen it.
So how she's acting right now is actually kind of worse because she doesn't know that she's killed a bunch of people and her whole society has done that. She hasn't proven that yet. In her mind, she still thinks you're just stupid. You're wrong. Your people deserved it. You're not. Your memories are not good
You're
enough.
out of your
Yeah.
mind.
She's
Well, and-
already like she's
and
not
even when
there
you
yet.
even when you talk about like her intelligence and all of these things, I think that's where we're getting ready to get to it, where like that's where like it sounds terrible, but for her, the science side of her, she had to actually perform
She had to see it.
She had to.
the experiment. She had to see it. She had to do it to see it. And so right now it's like she's first getting glimpses of it and she's being challenged by Tomil of this theory, but she's like, it hasn't been proven to her yet, because just seeing this bush light up with white light is different than seeing it actually kill someone.
And honestly, this whole
Like-
exchange,
But I do think people can have an intelligent conversation that's
Yeah.
not so high strung. And I feel, I mean, literally.
I think they can if they have time to process it. I don't think she got the proper time to process it.
and
at
that's
all.
why the ones online are worse, because you don't have to type right away. You can
But
wait on it.
But it's crazy.
Like you could
because-
take a breath.
So my experience was through online chat and chatting. It was, y'all, take it away back. MSN chat, y'all.
I thought you were going to say
It was a
Omegle for a
group-
minute. For a minute.
MSN chat. We talked in 2002.
I'm like, you found someone on
2002
Omegle.
MSN. But no, there was a group called Ask an Atheist. You can go into the chat room. You can ask an atheist questions. And that's what I did. And beliefs were challenged. And honestly, it's a great experience. I do believe that you should question why you believe what you believe in, because you grow up learning, basically like Siona, you learn a certain thing. And then when you ask these questions and the questions are, answered and then they're returned back to you, are you reciting what mom and dad told you? Are you reciting what society tells you? Are you reciting what your church tells you?
Or is this
And that's the thing is,
Or is this
and that's
what
the
you
thing.
believe?
Whether it's Tomil in the Quen, whether it's, and not even just Quen, but the Keldana people, which were different from some of the others. But then you also had like Sayana, and you could relate it to people here, like in not even just here, but like in the whole world of like where you are raised, who you're raised by, and what you're surrounded with, and the amount of information that you're given will all dictate what you believe until those things are challenged later.
Right.
And some people don't react well to being challenged later at those.
And see, that's where I was different from her, because I'm like, I'm talking to complete strangers over the internet through chat, don't even know these people. And while I was getting flustered and frustrated, I was like, these are really good questions. Why don't I take a moment and explore this? But
the fact that
she's talking to her best friend, her only friend, and she's getting high strung.
I do say I think it's a little different because, like, you were in a chat room. You chose to be there. You didn't have to be there.
That is true. I did choose it. I did.
You chose it, and you chose to ask questions, and then chose to deal with
do the research.
What the repercussions were of being challenged. She's not getting that. It was just like, bam, here, blight.
You're killing people.
Tamil had that saying too. Tamil wasn't asking or anything like that. He saw it, and even he was surprised. He didn't know.
He was, because he was getting excited about learning magic.
He knew that
he was
Tyran
having a
wasn't
good time.
But he didn't know that they were the cause of their destruction.
I think that he thought
Right.
the blight was just a natural thing.
Well, in the last chapter, when he's talking to Kara, he does. He said, all along, we thought blight was just this like random thing. Just was, and no one could control it. It was no one's fault. It was just fate. But all along, it's been these people. Everything. It's so much worse than we could have ever imagined.
We knew they sucked, but they're evil.
The challenge is,
And I will say, the reason that Tomil is so upset, Tomil's not upset at Tyran. And we get into it in that like final chapter that we finally get his point of view. Tomil wasn't actually mad at Tyran because he never expected anything more from them. He was upset because he trusted Sayana and he believed in her, and her reaction is what upset him. Because he was like you. He's like, she's after the truth. She believes in the truth over else. And so he truly believed she would just immediately be like, well, this is the truth. We need to shift. This is the right thing. And I think again, yes, and that needs to happen. But I also think that her reaction
was like, human. You're right.
Yeah. It was it was a lot.
The thing is that
I think her reaction after, when she did the research, I think that was appropriate.
Yes, then you get to...
I'm sorry, if you disagree with me, I'm not going to slap you, Catherine.
No,
I'm not going to tell
never.
you. I'm sorry. I feel like that was still... I know she was going through a lot, but she hadn't learned she killed anybody at that time. She was just challenged, and she got physical. I don't like that.
But here's the
thing.
thing.
Physical over
Here's
that.
the thing. A human reaction isn't always the appropriate one. I mean, what she did was wrong.
She was
Absolutely.
just... She was
also
just
isn't
getting...
necessarily-
James doesn't come home and be like, I had a bad day. Like,
He better not.
that's what I'm saying. And they're
I'ma
both
tell you
best
what.
friends. They're both
But I
best
could see
friends.
her-
I'm like, no, that's not what you do.
I would never.
I could see
would
her being
never.
hot-headed enough to do it. Like, I could see Sayana's character being hot-headed enough to just, like...
Because she said, I feel like her, like I said, I don't have her personality. I'm nothing like her. You know what I mean? I do know people that I feel like they would have probably done this.
Well, and like, so we haven't gotten to the actual slap yet, but like,
Sorry. There's a slap coming.
So when,
And let me tell you, it's before she knows anything.
She's not my favorite now.
when Sayana refuses to believe the founding mages would create something at other people's expense, Tomil tells her that's what happens to the Quen people all of the time. They're used as cheap labor until they can no longer be used anymore, and then they're slaughtered. And when she continues to argue with him, and he like calls her out for refusing, it tells her she's being shown the truth, and yet she's refusing to see it, which is what she claims is the most important thing to her, is truth. It's their whole academic and religious structure is truth over all else. And so he calls her on that, and that's when she slaps him. And
Holy
I think
crap,
again,
she did call it. She called
Yeah.
him a savage.
Page 179,
Savages,
she says,
savages.
so he has said something, why shouldn't your magic also treat us like meat, like bounty, to be slaughtered and consumed? She replies with this from a savage, from a land of cannibals. And he says, my people are not cannibals, and there were no cannibals at all in the Quinn before Blight, before you. And that was not bad because it wasn't her personally, before you destroyed all our sources of food. How can you not see how this all fits together? I thought you were committed to the truth, genuinely committed to it. I didn't realize you were as blind as the rest of this disgusting city. And that's
but again, I think you've got
him.
Tomil, who's kind of 3 steps ahead of her because he already believed that Tyran was evil. He sees the bad that Tyran is already doing because of how he's been treated by them. She has, other than just being a woman and being treated differently that way, she sees magic and the mages and the academics and all of these things as these great things that are doing things for the city and the people. So again,
And the Quinn.
Their whole society sees
They
I
that.
think
saved
she's
the Quinn.
this is someone, this is her only friend, her best friend, and he's calling her evil now and telling her that she's basically an idiot for not seeing it. So like again, you may not smack him, I may not smack him, but I think she's just so upset. It's just,
for me, you had Renthorn basically said she was a whore. She slept her way to the top. No slap. But all he did was say, I thought you were committed to the truth. And
attacked her
I didn't
character.
realize you were, he attacked, both attacked
but she
her character.
expected that
But
of
this
Renthorn.
was about her.
And again, Renthorn just attacked what she expected, her being a girl. She doesn't deserve it. He's telling her that her entire life is a lie and they are all evil.
Well, and he is basically saying, I thought you were committed to the truth. And she's just pushing him off, saying,
And again,
what you're saying
like I said,
is not
I
true.
think she hasn't had time to process the information. See, I think it's funny because you guys, I think it's a flip from the first episode where I was like, I have issues with Sienna. And you guys were like, she's just a girl trying to have some girl power. It's okay. And now I'm like,
They're like, she's
and you guys are like, this is terrible. How could she do this? And I'm like, girl hasn't had 2 seconds to realize that her whole life is a lie.
I do.
You know what? This is how gunfights start. You hurt my feelings. I'm going to shoot you. That's why I have a problem with it. You have got to control your freaking feelings.
I'm kind of in between here because I don't feel like it was appropriate. I don't feel like she should have done it. I also agree that it was a human response for this particular thing. But again, like I said, a human response isn't always the correct one. I don't think she should have done that. No, honestly, the fact that Tamil hadn't slept is pretty, like, that shows his restraint because holy cow, she has been really coming for him.
Like,
But
here's the
Tamil would have
thing.
been
You
killed.
keep your hands to yourself. That's all I'm saying. You keep your hands to yourself because once it gets physical, if Tamil would have hit her back, I'd have been like, you got grail.
I'm gonna tell you what.
I don't care.
Well, I
'Cause
thought
I'm
he
like,
was for a minute, and I was like, "Oh crap!"
Keep
But
your hands to yourself.
it's like what I tell my children: we use loving hands and kind words.
That's right. And they used neither.
Yeah.
I was going to say, to be fair, her children often forget those.
Her reaction is fine. Her reaction is fine as far as being upset, being adamant about, I don't believe you. Use your
She just
words.
had,
And then the whole thing with the conduit.
So then
I was like, you
well, he
what?
charges her.
Like-
so she's like, because now she smacked him and she's like, oh shit.
And that,
Because it wasn't I'm going to smack you.
I agree
It
with
was,
that.
she did it. She wasn't even thinking. She smacks him.
You're
Yeah.
disgusting.
And then she's like,
Boom.
shit, I hit him. So
do that just
Tamil charges her and she's now scared. She's like, oh shit, he's like going to react and he has every right to react. And so she pulls the cylinder with the conduit but he gets to her and he grabs it and like shoves it against his own chest and tells her to kill him. Do it.
do it.
You know, like, I'm just a dirty Quinn, kill me. You're this great mage. So fighting with him, she again tells him that they brought this on themselves and they deserve what's happening. To me, that was worse than any slap. Because what do you mean? Because to me, that started to tell me before I can defend her as you were struggling because your entire world is being challenged. But now I'm like, you're starting to put the pieces together and you're blaming him and his people for what's happening.
She chose to be mean despite her own revelations. Like, because like even she says, your people died because they deserved it. Yes. Yeah, that was why. That was why. Sinai assured herself, even as the tears wouldn't stop falling, this was all God's will. Tamil just couldn't see it because he wasn't worthy. You brought this on yourselves. And I'm like, literally, you know you're wrong. You're trying to come up with stuff in your head. And, you know, we all do that. But, like, to, like, literally voice it out loud and be like, you know, your family deserved to die. You know, you're not worth, like, all these. I'm like, that's horrible.
Emotionally hit.
Objectively horrible.
He's already been emotionally and physically abused. She is psychologically abusing him.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I'm just saying.
But again,
like,
this is where it's like,
no. I understand. I empathize with her, and I feel like, yes, she has human feelings, and her feelings are not what I'm questioning. It's the physical contact. Heaven forbid I get slapped because I tell somebody the truth. I'm going to hit you back.
I don't know. I'm like, to me, I'm like, the smack's not that big a deal. Her telling him that his whole family deserved to die because they weren't worthy? Fuck you, Sayana.
Well, and see, I just would have responded with that. See, none of that, like, the talking doesn't really bother me.
It did.
It's the
I will
physicality.
say, okay,
because I can cut, but see, I can cut back.
I'll agree
like,
with
I
both
can
of you
clap
guys.
back on that.
I hated all of that. I thought all of it was horrible. Like, literally, slap bad, deserving it bad, all of it bad. Like, and then
it was bad.
And then let's just add on to the bad. When he leaves and she calls after him to wait, girl, let him go.
Oh.
Let him go.
I was like, after all you said and did, I think not.
You slapped the man. You told him everybody deserved to die. And then you're like, but wait, comfort me. Like,
Well, because I think in that
I'm
moment, she
saying.
also realized that he was the only one that was her friend. Like, that was her person. And now he's gone. And even though they were he was the cause of like, he wasn't the cause of the fighting, but in a way, in her mind, I'm sure he was the cause of the fighting. But it's like, but now she's got to deal with all of the ramifications of what she's like learning and having to like think about. And the only person she could like confide in has left. So like,
when Tamil turned to leave, inexplicable panic took over. Wait, she clutched at his sleeve, realizing that she couldn't bear for him to walk away. Screw you. You don't get to do that.
She even adds, she didn't care if he struck her. She didn't care if he put those hunter's hands around her neck and throttled the life from her body. For once, the last thing she wanted was to be alone with her knowledge. But Tamil was stronger than she was. He tore from her grasp.
Sorry,
and
you don't
she was
deserve it.
alone on the landing in total collapse.
You don't deserve the comfort of any of that. You don't deserve the comfort of him coming at you because you were hateful. You don't deserve it. I'm sorry. Like, you have to sit with this now. Like, and honestly, actions have consequences. Sorry. This is
well, I think he was smart. I think he was
figure
smart
it
for
out.
walking away. But also, again, I see why she was written that way, because I think that, again, a human response of like, she's angry at him, but for the wrong reasons. And I think she on a surface level doesn't know that, but somewhere deep down she does. And that's what's panicking of like, I now need to deal with this, and that's my person. And they're walking away.
Yeah.
And she knows it's her fault. So she returns to her lab. Renthorn is teasing her about the fight that they overheard with her assistant. She ends up grabbing another spellograph and she does another spell. And she's recreating this thing, the same thing. She goes to a different location though. But this time she sees an ocean and a beach and these people with black hair, so their like lands are kind of divided by hair, I guess. So like they're all brown. All the Tyrannish are brown. All of the Quen are red haired. And then apparently these people who live near the sea have black hair. So she sees this like young girl, like maybe a teenager, collecting seashells. And as she hits the siphoning key, she watches as Blight kills the girl. And she tries to like cut the paper and stop it but it's too late. And, the girl is struck down.
It only made the death worse, in my
I
opinion.
know. I was like, oh no.
Misty, no.
That was horrible.
So, and
she like survived.
but then died.
But then died. That was horrible. That was not a quick death.
No.
So in chapter 11, Sayana is melting down because now she's
That's appropriate. You just killed
Well,
somebody. This is appropriate
And-
response.
like, I
Like
think
you got there.
For your mind to be
I
broken,
think in her
that's
mind
correct.
before it was a theory. So it's like, now I've got to test this theory. She tested it. And now all of those things that, she knew was probably correct has been proven true. And she is being hit with not only that she killed someone, which I think she's really struggling with, but also, again, all of those things, everything she knows is wrong. Everything about her life is a lie. And so she's like apparently really melting down. And everyone has started banging on her door long enough now that Brigham has been brought in, and he comes and he escorts her out. And she tells him what she saw and that she killed someone. And Brigham brushes her off and claims that it was probably just a curse. Like, you didn't see that and it wasn't really there. But this is
Other people have had these same situations
and
happen.
that's where you do get to see Sayana start, where she's starting to have time to process it. So now the things that him telling her, hey, it's just a curse. I think she could have easily been like, yeah, you know what? You're my mentor. You're right. You know more.
This is where I'm actually proud
But
of
she
her
doesn't.
for that.
She starts to use her logic. Yeah. She's like, hey, this is a whole new
I'm proud
spell.
of her for
I wrote
being
the whole
like-
fucking thing from beginning to end. So it wasn't a curse written into the spell. It wasn't on the spell paper. It was different paper each time. I used 2 different spellographs because he threw one across the room. Like, it wasn't a cursed spellograph. There's no way it could have been a curse. It wasn't a curse. Like, she knows and believes that it's not a curse. And so, but she ends up kind of like zoning out a little bit and just like agreeing with Brigham. But in her head, she's like, it's not a curse. And Brigham tells her to just take some time off and relax, and then, it'll be fine. So the other high mages kind of taunt her about that and are like, must be nice, throw a tantrum, get some paid leave. Yeah. But Renthorn, and this is where we were like talking about where you get those little snippets of Renthorn, and he's like, what did you see? And he knows she's not just this hysterical woman on her period, or whatever that the others are trying to claim. Like, he knows something serious has happened, like something unexpected.
Yeah.
So she goes back home to Aunt Winnie and asks her Aunt Winnie if she's a good person. Because again, she's grappling with everything as her whole world is coming undone. And that includes her city's founding, the past, the founding mages, her entire education, the magic system, her religion, like literally everything she knows and was taught was good and for the good is actually evil and is destroying all these other places. And she's been a part of it from the beginning because this is all she's wanted. And so she goes to the windowsill, which is 4 stories high, and is contemplating and questioning all of these things as she leans over and she decides to just like give in. She's like, you know what? I'm out. She's ready to commit suicide. But Alba catches her, pulling her in, and is just like begging her to just stay with me. And then, in Sayana's mind, she's like, she doesn't realize what she's asking of me because no one else knows what she knows now. So in chapter 12, we finally switch points of view. And we get Tamil's point of view for the first time since chapter 1. And he's sitting on this like water tower. And he's also kind of thinking about suicide and thinking about in the past where he's thought about suicide in the past, but has always said that he could never do that because it was too selfish to want that kind of freedom. But instead, he's just angry. And again, this is where I was talking about. He's not angry with Tyran because he doesn't expect anything good to ever come out of Tyran, but he's angry with Sayana because he believed in her, he trusted her. I think he was falling for her a little bit. And he felt like her commitment to the truth, no matter what, would prevail as soon as she was faced with it. And then he's like really upset that when she was faced with it, she turned her back when it didn't fit the mold of what she thought, was going to happen. And so he
just needs to give her some time. Just give her some time to process.
So his niece, who he rescued back in chapter 1, Kara, who we haven't really seen at all since, she arrives interrupting his thoughts. And as he's raised her, he found, we get a little bit of her backstory where he's raised her. He found a job that was as safe as a Quen could get, I guess. And she's like a chimney sweep. And he laments that he selfishly raised her in the Caldana way, since they were the last ones and he didn't want to be the only Caldana. So he raised her like that. You know, he could have raised her Tyrannish and she would have fit in better. And it would have been like the wiser, safer thing to do. But he didn't want to do that. So because he wanted to hold on to his past. But after he chastises himself for the way he raised her, which part of that was they don't lie to one another. So he ends up telling her everything that happened. And she's like screaming into the void. But afterwards, he's upset with himself because choosing to raise her as Caldana was selfish in his mind. And it in itself was a tyrannish thing to do, which means he's himself has become more tyrannish just being there. And so he's like really also grappling with some of his own internal struggles. And that was the end of the chapters. It was a rough set of chapters.
That's my bad because I thought we were supposed to read 13. So I read 13. I thought it was through 13,
Well,
not
you're-
through 12.
well,
You're ahead because next week we cover chapters 13 through 18. So like,
Okay, so we're stopping at night. So read 18,
Yeah.
but that's it.
but yeah, I'm hoping. I think Sayana is strong-willed enough that she's going to like decide to fight back against the system in some way and what's happening. I don't know what that's going to look like because again, it's ingrained in everything that they do from top to bottom, beginning to end. And I don't know other than burning it all down, period.
We're 50% of the way through, so I feel like the last 50% will be handling this newfound
So
knowledge.
I don't know. I'll be honest, I went into this pretty blind and
I didn't even read
I
that.
read the back. I
didn't
read
read
the
the
back.
back.
I truly read the back. So I kind of had an idea based off of the little synopsis.
I didn't even read this. So
This is
I've
No, I
gone
did
in
not read
completely
it.
blind to the whole thing. And even when it was getting hyped when it originally released, a lot of the hype was just like, it's so good, you have to read it. That was it. Like, I don't know.
I knew
So I
nothing.
don't even know.
I thought it was about vampires because
I
it's
don't-
blood.
close. It's about witches.
I'm over here like vampires in Brighthaven. Hell,
Yeah.
like that's
Like, I don't know if we're going to get obviously, Tomil and Sayana have a connection and they have feelings, but I don't know if we're actually going to get a romance in this at all. I also
I think
don't know if
from
it's
from what Sheila said, it's like almost like a romantic subplot, but I don't think it's not.
not
and I
a
don't
big-
know if
yeah.
it's going to be a happy ending. Because I don't feel like
I do.
you can really wrap it up with a happy ending. Maybe that's just me.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there
I
might
feel
be
like
some
it's gonna be
sacrifice. I
almost-
just don't know by who.
I feel like it's probably going to wrap up as happy as it could.
I
Kind of
agree.
like how, you know, like obviously it'll be different than Alchemized, but like Alchemized, like I wouldn't necessarily say
Happy
that was a
ending. Yeah.
happy ending, but it was the happiest that it could have
have
been
been,
given
yeah.
the circumstances. I feel like it's going to end up being something like that.
Agree. I feel so. They're gonna have to address it, but you're talking about two people against the world, or at least their little bubble.
I have a feeling they're going to end up finding some sympathizers.
I think what's gonna happen, my guess, is as far as the happiest ending you're gonna be. Maybe Renthorn will join. Maybe he won't. I don't know. I don't know if he's. I'm kind of getting vibes like he might. But then again, he might find out what's going on and then be like, I don't want to change anything. He might be that character. But I'm wondering if they're going to destroy the bubble. Instead of make it bigger, they're
I
gonna
honestly-
destroy it.
Here's my question.
'Cause
I honestly,
What is the Quinn to Tyrannish?
I don't know
ratio?
because
like, is there more?
I don't know
Quinn?
because Quen is like the whole land. Caldana was just a tribe, and Tomil was the last. Tomil and Kara are the last Caldana.
How about the Quinn in?
I don't know. It's like a
Tyrannish?
whole community.
Like,
Well, I mean, they're using them to do all their dirty work. I mean, they're
What
chimney
happens if they just
sweepers
stop doing
and working in chemical factories and things like that. You know,
They're using them as disposable.
And that was another thing Sayana didn't agree with. Yeah, because they were like, if you don't work, then you
But they're
die.
giving them also the jobs that they can die in.
no one
well,
wants to do. Yeah,
And there's
yeah.
it's slavery, but in this, but it's
indentured
slavery,
servitude.
but it's this like, it's like a
Yeah.
pretty little bow of like, well, we saved you, so
So
well, and then like
you owe us.
it's
That-
like
that's
it
kind of
sounds
how it-
like from the little bits you're getting from Tamil on it too, of like they're working in the factories, but like the factories have a serious lack of OSHA happening, so like they're getting killed in the factories
OSHA violation.
because they're not safe. And just like all these other jobs that they're working where it's not, they make them do the jobs that aren't safe because they don't care, because they're disposable. They're cheap labor. They'll just replace them. Because if they're not working, they're just going to kill them anyways.
I mean, they look at
Just
them as
wild.
less than. They think of them as cannibals. It's
Illiterate.
and also
Unwashed.
Very.
ungodly, and they deserve the blight because
All because
they're savages.
not even that. It's because they refuse to convert to their system and their religion. It's like when she talks about it, she's like, well, you were shown our God and you refused to convert, so that made you unworthy.
Well, and then you've got that one guy in Tyrion who they executed because he was doing evil
But-
magic, right? Assuming that what he was doing was he was drawing on the no-no spots, which was in the bubble.
Well-
So, the no-no spots.
Well, it said
I'm wondering-
he murdered his counter, like all the people that like were his enemies or like that was like his competition. But what if he could actually see, like he also used a similar spell, what she's doing, where he could actually see. He was going in the forbidden coordinates and he was sending blight to kill them.
And I'm wondering if so the main characters right now have several options. Siona has to get her crap together. And
That's
make
not an
amends.
option. Homegirl needs to just get it done.
Well,
Like-
she's got to make her amends with Tamil. She's got to make her amends with him, and I feel like she will.
I'm hoping Kara, I'm assuming you don't introduce a character like Kara and then not use her. So I'm assuming she's going to become important in the second half of the book.
I feel like
agree.
we're going to learn more about Brigham and a little bit more about what's his name? Renthorn. And they've got a couple of options. One could be sabotage the expansion and just burst the damn bubble. And then
If she could get Renthorn-
nobody can use it. Two, not sure if she can go about this politically because you're talking about 2, maybe 3 people, if we count Kara, going against their whole entire government. We've seen how that works. So I'm not really sure.
Very Katniss Everdeen.
Yeah. I'm not, and the only other thing is if she can't burst the bubble by sabotage, then they could show what blight does within the bubble. But then that would also mean murder of their own kind, unless she specifically targets people in the bubble.
Well, she knows how to create this
creating
clear
this
picture
plan.
now. So I think
Unless she did inanimate
'Cause he-
objects. To be like, hey everyone, I'm going to blow up the university.
I feel like
Hey everyone! The way you say it, it's like, make sure to like and subscribe. I'm gonna blow up this university.
So she's got several options she can go about this to be like, maybe the people will stand with her and be like, yeah, down with the magic.
They're not
but
gonna,
I mean,
yeah.
you see how that goes.
I'm wondering, because Tamil showed her as this was happening that the forbidden coordinates coordinated with the city, and that's why they weren't
Exactly.
to draw from there, and that was why they don't have blight is because they're not siphoning, and the siphoning's creating the blight.
See, if I
but
was
she
her-
has now.
I wouldn't have gone and killed anyone. I would have just used the easy thing to do would have been like, hey, I'm going to put in the coordinates for the no-no circle. She would have seen her own city there, and she wouldn't have had to
But she also,
do a spell
but
at
she
all
was
or
also
kill
questioning
anyone.
the blight, because to her the blight was this beautiful white light, which was God's light. Because what else would a bright white light be but God's light?
Oh, she couldn't do that in the no-no coordinates?
Yeah, but she could have done it to her own people, I guess. Baby steps.
I think
Well, if she thought that it was God's
Baby
light,
steps for
I
our
know,
girl. She's
'cause
getting there.
A,
She's
it would have
getting
been
there.
Like it's not like it. So here's the thing:
the
first
Tyrannish
thing,
will love it. It's so pretty.
if she would have done it from the coordinates that they're not supposed to draw from, she would have immediately seen that this is not coming from another world. It is coming from their world. And then I really wonder what her thought process, if she would have gone through with the whole, well, let me see if this blight is actually blight. I don't know if she would have done
Well,
it, if she
since-
would have seen who are not drawing in another universe. Or
I feel like,
realm
so the
or
forbidden
something.
coordinates, I feel like, are related to the gun of the plot. Okay, so our author introduced the forbidden coordinates very early. So they're going to get used. She's going to use them in some
Oh,
way.
yeah.
And I'm wondering, I don't know if she's going to use them and just like blow up the whole city. Because again, I don't know how you fix this without burning it all down. But I do kind of wonder if she's going to like all of those. It's got to start at the top, you know? So your archmages.
That's why I was like, we're gonna
I'm
blow
wondering-
up the school.
We're gonna read.
Well, and they're
I
doing
think
that
we're
city
gonna
council
really
thing,
see-
and they're gonna have that vote, and she's gonna have the meeting. I'm wondering if she's
The
gonna
vote?
like blow everybody up in the meeting. I don't know, because she could be like, "Hey, let me show
But see,
you
that's
my
the
new
option.
spell."
But they're really
It
gonna
was
do
an
an
Look,
accident. I'm
see
just
you
afraid.
guys, that's you in this picture on my spellograph.
It say cheese.
So we've already kind of pre-decided that we are going to be covering Fury Bound next month for the month of June. So while you have time, if you need a recap, you can go back and you can watch our episodes, which were episodes 6 through 10, which are available on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple, to catch up on those. So that way you are ready for, we didn't get that, for Fury Bound, or, yeah. You're distracting me. I had a spiel. Sorry.
Does your book have pictures?
I got a map. I got a map. That's all I got.
I don't have a map.
You don't have a map?
map.
You
I
don't
don't
get
have
this
a
cool
map,
map
bro.
of the city
Oh,
in
well, I have
the
this.
forbidden coordinates?
I have this.
Wait a
You have
minute.
a map.
I do have a map. I do. I
Wait.
didn't look.
Hold on.
I
Oh,
also-
I have the map.
It's
Yeah.
just-
I'm like, I feel like for
was
this
like-
one, a lot of times I don't look at maps, I'll be honest. Like, they're pretty, but like, I don't look at them that much. But this one, I felt like the map
I
was
really paid
quite
attention.
important.
They said they were in a bubble. I believe it.
Oops. Oh, it was like Tamil's apartment. Sorry.
You are here.
Sorry. Yes.
I'm so sorry.
You
Off
can-
topic.
We apologize.
For our off topic and ADHD squirrel.
Yeah, we're very excited to read Fury Bound. In fact, the only thing that's keeping me from reading Fury Bound is
we said we
knowing
would
that
do it
we're going to
next.
read it in June.
Yeah.
Because I have it and I keep looking at it.
I've watched some of the people who had arcs who they, of course, can't spoil anything, so they haven't really said much, but they all have said it's fantastic. Like, it's better than the first book. Fantastic. Like, better than the first book. Fantastic. And so I'm so excited. I can't wait. I'm excited for that one. I'm excited for Knave in the Moon. Like, we have so many good books to read this year. So many. We have been blessed by the bookish gods.
We have been blessed.
No, I was gonna say not the blighting ones, not the blighty ones. Every time you read a page, an angel dies. All right, so we will see everybody next week for Raven. And we'll see everybody then.